Now it is time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, Russell.
Hello, I'm Russell. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for asking me to speak at this meeting. I'm very, very happy to be here. Yes. I understand that there are a lot of newcomers here. This is helpful to me to know this and understand it because of the commonly repeated maxim that the newcomer is the most important person in the room, which is antithetical to my innate belief that I am the most important person in any room I go into, which I know that's not right, you know. That's not like part of the surging divine light. That's part of the problem, that kind of attitude. The reason also that I'm grateful for the presence of newcomers is because it reminds me of when I myself was a newcomer and how yet more preposterous this situation seemed to me, how difficult and peculiar and unusual, and I just thought, this can't be for me, can it? I thought, like, the idea that, like, the first time, like, you know, some of the tenets, the main tenets of this wonderful program, when first espoused to me, I just thought, I mean, it just was, it sounded kind of ludicrous. I remember the first time someone said, try and get to bed tonight without a drink or a drug. I just thought, well, it's like 4 o'clock. You know, it's like, what am I going to do? There's no policy in place for this. Also, it just was like, well, odd, what will I do? How will I feel the dreadful, unforgiving hours, the pain, the loneliness? Because for me, I suppose, melodramatic though it may seem, I do subscribe to the idea of alcoholism, addiction, as an illness, as a condition, you know, because, like, you know, I've always had it, even before the presence of the substance. Something was up in childhood. Things it weren't normal what went on, you know. Like, as a lad, it was clear there were problems. What I notice is an innate, inherent thing within me that will attach itself to any external stimuli and abuse it. Like, anything that you can get your hand on, we'll obsess about it and momentarily think it will solve all my problems. See this ring? It's nice. It's like this. I ain't had it long, about a week, right? But just before I got it, I thought, this will do the trick. Just if I can get that ring, like, don't want to draw too much of a pat analogy to Gollum, but, like, you know, I thought, this ring, this is the solution, my precious, my precious. You know, I've got it, it's not worked. It's just an object, just another object, just another thing I'll one day lose, just another transient thing passing through my life, not constant, not God, you know, just a thing that will die. Well, I don't know, I mean, I think actually it's made of bone, so it is already dead, unforgivably, and that's I'm a vegetarian, I mean, I'm conflicted about it now. Oh, God. Why did I get involved? Like, I think, like, even before I could form an opinion about, like, my obvious addictive tendencies around food, like, as a kid, when I was about, you know, 7, 8, one of them ain't that old, like, when I was about that age, like, it was clear that I sort of would retreat into the imagination, watching life from behind sort of patio doors, French doors, behind a glass visor, watching people, muffled adult voices discussing me, problems, you know. Everything seeming a little bit far away, retreating into an imaginary world, my imagination, the realm of fantasy, some comfortable place, some place where it was bearable. I grew up just with my mum for the first part of my life. I'm an only child of a single mother, and like I was loved, I mean, of course, like I don't love my mum and everything, and like she sort of adored me and mollycoddled me and give me sort of anything I want, try and make up for my dad not being there. Then she got like ill a lot when I was like sort of quite young. She had to go to hospital, like she had got cancer when I was quite young and had to go to hospital. Then I had to live with these relatives and that, and it was a bit like, I mean, you'll have noticed the accent, but it was Dickensian. I like to go and sort of stay with people like sort of spinsters and like, misers and stuff, and people that I didn't get on with. Do you not feel the same now, like as when you were little? I do. Like sort of when people, you think, like there's things I thought when I was about 5, and I sort of still think them. I sort of think I'm still that person. I recognise some essential trail from then to now, some true self, some self beyond your desire, some self beyond your past even, something that's actually you. And I remember thinking, this ain't right, the way people were treating me, the way I was feeling. So then after like a few years of the fantasy and the imagination, like I would eat a lot of food, chocolate stuff, and like loved chocolate. For a while that was the solution. I would consume a lot of chocolate, all of the chocolate that was in. Like initially I'd just have this one bit of chocolate, but that would lead to all of the chocolate. I got a drive in me that won't relent until I will not stop consuming until some external force prohibits it. Like I'll land grab and devour like a fire or something, unless things are all gone, till it's all burned out, till it's all gone. Eating too much, then I got all, like, and it's not typical, is it, for a chap, but like got a bit bulimic and all that sort of business, purging, spend half my bloody life in cubicles doing things I shouldn't be doing. It turned out that first bit of throwing up in them, that was my starter for a lifelong career of being in lavatories, then as a junkie, then for the liaisons of the flesh that follow that once that's put down. When, then my stepdad, he moved in. They didn't get married. He wasn't really my stepdad, but stepdad is a good moniker for hint of evil. So, but actually, I shouldn't say that because he was an alcoholic, so I owe him, tolerance, don't I? That's intolerance. We'll get to that. On my stepdad, I didn't get on with him. He was an alcoholic man. He was a bit sort of unforgiving of me. He were a kind of solemn gent, sat forever in the best armchair, remote control on this thigh, and a can of lager aimed at the homeless on this thigh. Like, there would not be adverts for this lager on the telly. I once made an inquiry of an advertising expert, why is there no advertising for Tennant's Lager? That is the brand name. He said, it finds its market. It ain't designed to be drunk under a ceiling. It's the canopy of the stars. He would drink that, control the remote control. Oh yeah, control who's policing the police, who's controlling the control. He was controlling the control. And I hated him. Like, it's horrible, ain't it, to grow up in a house with someone you hate. It sort of like makes you seethe a little bit. But now, God, I am learning, though he still haunts my dreams, I think now this is a person I've got to forgive and love, a person sick like me, And remember when one time, this stayed with me a bit, it was a maudlin, sentimental bit of melodrama. I remember him sort of going, Russell, I used to nick their booze, my mum and his booze, from that cupboard and do the top up, of course. And, but people from our families must think that alcohol's not as good as it is on account of it's diluted. Because I would always drink gin, put water in, so the gin they're drinking's not as good. I would sort of eat a lot, drink a lot, puke up a lot. Russell, you puking up in the toilets? Are you puking up in the sink? Yes, I did do that, Colin, I said, expecting some moment of tenderness and perhaps a hand upon the shoulder. Yeah, well, can you not do it because it's blocking up the pipes? Oh, poor me. And further did I retreat into that lachrymose state. You know, like, I didn't get on there at home with, you know, sort of felt sort of all odd and stuff. And so, like, you know, it was just miserable, self-harming sort of an individual, forever surrounded, again, like a sort of my life scored by the sound of breaking glass and crying women, you know, like sort of first my mum, then just other women crying, when are you going to change? Why are you doing that? Pouring things down lavatories, emptying little envelopes into lavatories. I'll just get another envelope. I'll just get another envelope. There are more drugs. That's not all drugs gone now. Pouring bottles of booze down to lavatories. You know, when I was like about, like, so yeah, sort of like, it was just a desperate, miserable, unhappy childhood. So bleak and unpleasant and sad and, you know, unyielding, that when the first time that someone offered me a joint, I just thought, oh, thank you, thank God. It was never, you know how like you might hear of someone out sipping Chardonnay on a yacht or something, you sort of think, that sounds nice. But like, for me, like that never happened. I never had, it was immediately medicinal. It was immediately, oh, thank fuck. Something take the edge off this fucking experience, you know, for life, something to calm me down, some other thing, you know. So like, and immediately like that, I leapt onto it. I immediately became quite tedious actually as well. So like, along with the alcohol and drugs came the alcohol and drug persona. I took that on pretty damn swift as well. Up until then, I'd not really had an identity, being as I'm from sort of a grey slurry of a place. It's literally called Grays. It's sort of like, it's called Grays. And like, it's in Essex, the suburbs of East London, humdrum, drab little town like a Smith's lyric, and like no sort of nothing to belong to, nothing, you know, so there's just the inherently nihilistic nothingness there. And like, so like sort of like immediately, like someone give me a spliff and I had a drink, like, ah, yes, I'm this. And someone was kind enough to show me Oliver Stone's The Doors. And I thought, oh, well, there, I'll be him then. You know, there's an identity, there's something I can live with. And like sort of like, along with the first joint that I smoked, I sort of took upon me the identity. It meant so much to me. It meant so much to me to be able to drink and use, like not only the anaesthetic, not only the softening of the horrible blow of being alive, but also I was someone. It made me feel like I had an identity, like a friend, something to hold on to, something to be with, like long train journeys suddenly bearable now, because you can go in the toilet and skin up and so. You know, one of the problems is with me, it was that I became a living cliche of the ascent into addiction since I started, like, you know, sort of like drinking a lot, then drinking worse booze, drinking it more often, using recreational drugs, then using harder and harder and harder drugs in a way that, you know, a government pamphlet would delineate to terrify your children, our children, the children. You know, and so, like, you know, I sort of, yeah, was a living example of that thing. Like, so, yeah, immediately, like that, I sort of took up, like, sort of, I just thought, oh, thank God for this thing. It was almost sort of a transcendental because of its psychoactive effects, but also like religious in that I've got something to cling to, something to believe in now. And immediately sort of just did it every day, caused all sorts of bother, immediately sort of hoovered up into sort of ridiculous, like petty crime. I left home quite young, left home at 16 and ricocheted and rattled around London like a pinball all alone, just looking for places to go, places to stay, people to cling to like a drowning man. And like this alcohol and drugs became sort of a constant for me, something for me to cling to. And like I think, you know, again, returning to the newcomer, I emphasise this because for me, it was 100% my identity. It was everything I lived for. I did not want to let go of it. I didn't want to let go of it. I never thought that I would. You know, I never thought that I would. I never thought it could. It's somehow, like, still, even now, a little while down the road, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I remember something that will always stay with me is a mate of mine told me, he'd told a third party, like, oh, yeah, Russell's not taking drugs no more. And she said, what does he do then? That was her response. What does he do then? Because that was it. That's what I was, I was a thing that took drugs and drunk. That was my identity, that was my life. I wanted nothing beyond that. I had nothing beyond it. It was entirely my existence, you know. And like, I suppose I did it to the point where, You know, because I suppose with most of us, right, if it like, this is what sometimes I think, because now I'm fucking getting good things out of this program. I've done the steps, I've got a sponsor, I have no problem with a higher power. I take the main tenets. I don't have a, like, you know, with atheists and that, I sort of like, I think like, the evidence enough of something higher in the very fact that we're all present here right now. And I also think when pontificating and pondering the presence of a higher power, why spend too much time worrying about something that has baffled the finest minds since the dawn of time, the existence of God? We won't solve that. Plato couldn't get his head round it. You know, we can't work that out. Nor Socrates, none of them. Nietzsche, everyone, well, no, actually Nietzsche said God is dead, didn't he? But then, like, let's not go down that road, Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, I ain't got no problem believing in a higher power just because of, as I say, because I'm studying now. Because I'm studying now and I see it in people's eyes. I see it in the eyes of newcomers. I see it in the eyes of people when they talk about their stories and just think, how the fucking hell they get back? When you see them people like getting their cakes and everything, everybody, all of us here, I think that's enough. That's enough for me. What kind of theological, ecclesiastical examples are you looking for? What do you want? Some divine, burning, blinding light, a crucifix on your brow? You know, it's like, what do people want? It's enough. Having said that, at the beginning, this was no fun for me. That pink cloud thing never happened. I was reminded, black cloud, grey, drizzly, London cloud of fog and smog and filth forever raining. When I was like, how what happened was, it all descended into madness. I like working, working, showing off as a job. That's my job. And like, so like when I was like doing that when I was using, it was not like it was an erratic affair. And like I remember like sort of like I had one of the key components in bringing me, you know, to my knees, bringing that chaos to an end. That decade of madness, that 10 stretch I done, and all for naught. You know, like that. What brought that to an end was a few events, really. One where I had this job, like where it was like on a cruise ship, right? It was cruising around the Aegean Sea, the islands of Greece and Turkey and that. And I thought, I did a little cluck, which means withdrew from drugs, where, like, in case you don't have the same nomenclature as we have in England, Blighty, Albion, Albany. I got clean to do this job because I knew I was going away, and I thought on that boat it'll be a pain in the arse if I'm forever needing to score. So like went on it, but I still was drinking loads, smoking loads, and like you know, on that boat, like everyone was trying to do their jobs and be professional. I was chaotic, getting into trouble in brothels and fights in lap dancing clubs and like sort of them places where you find yourself down among the have-nots. Someone once said to me, down among the have-nots, the place you find yourself dwelling. I Bukowski'd that right up and thought it was brilliant, you know. But like, sort of, it's awful, really, isn't it? Like, you know, it's just like places, you know, terrible situations. Like, for me, as you can see, I'm not a person that should ever return to a brothel in Istanbul demanding a refund. It's easy to imagine that ending badly. Got away with it, hung off the edge of that boat to impress a girl. She wasn't impressed. Then, like, you know, sort of, they sacked me, obviously, off that job. Didn't even tell me that I was sacked because they were scared of what I'd do. They just went, you've got shore leave. And like, that's what sailors have, and I wasn't a sailor. Right? And then I went back home. Then afterwards, people said, yeah, they've sacked you. You terrifying idiot. What have you been doing? Then after that, like, it was like some Christmas party. And I used to score a lot and hang out a lot with homeless people. I don't know why that happened, but I was with them a lot. And I, again, given, as I said to you earlier, the identity like I'd adopted, I would take them places, you know. I'd take them into like sort of show business type environments, like the homeless, like I was Andy Warhol or something, I thought. So like, I'd take like homeless people and check them all out, they're real characters, you're going to love these guys, right? But obviously they don't respect the social niceties of London society. So like, there was a lot of chaos happened at this Christmas party. I was in the toilet using gear. This fella, harmonica Matt, he spoke with a stutter the whole time, except when he was singing the blues and playing his harmonica, and then his voice all cleared up. It was good, like a Robert Johnson, Pact with the Devil type thing. And like, Except it turned out when he got to that Christmas party, he had an eye for the ladies, and he was inappropriate around a lot of the people that were there. And he smelt of sick. And we went vomit. And then someone caught me using it in the toilet. Then there was a chain reaction of events of people going, right, okay, right, look at Russell's a fucking state. We need to sort this out. Had a meeting with a person that ran a treatment centre. He told me, if you don't stop using, you're going to be dead or in prison or in a lunatic asylum within 6 months. Once I'd stopped thinking, aren't I edgy? I thought, fucking hell, this sounds serious now. It's gotten all serious. It's getting all serious, you know. I didn't want to go into a treatment centre. I really, really didn't. I really resisted it. Because like I said, I never felt I had nothing else or no one else. I didn't trust grown-ups. I didn't really have family very much. All I've really had was one thing. You know, like sort of people say, like now we have a fellowship and we have a program, we can trust and love each other, and there's people could see I was nervous before, people distracting me, getting me talking and being nice to me and that, you know, and reminding me what I'm here for, to pass on a message to the newcomer, to stop being so self-centered, think about the message that I've got to convey. Before, though, I used to think, why would you trust a person when you can buy alcohol and drugs? You can buy it. People, they fuck off, they leave, things fall apart, the centre cannot hold. But drugs, alcohol, you can get it. But it don't work long term, does it? That's not a pitch for drugs and alcohol. If it still works, this would be an empty room, wouldn't it? Wonderful drapes. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Someone said early on to me, it ain't going nowhere, you know. Drugs and alcohol ain't going nowhere. It'll still be there for you. If this don't work, give it a chance, they said. Look at the chances you've given alcohol. Look at the times you went, no, alcohol will get me through meeting this girlfriend's family. Alcohol will get me through this job interview. Alcohol will get me through my nerves, through the day, through the night, through every waking moment of my life. How many chances did you give it? Give something else a fucking chance. Have you tried alcohol and drugs? How's that working for you? No, I don't feel well. Try something else. One day at a time. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're not even that clever, which is difficult, isn't it, to consider? Because one thing for me, as a proud English man, is the idea that something dreamt up by a couple of American drunks in the 40s works for my head now. Something, surely not. But it does. It does. It's working for me. It's sorted my life out. It's turned it around. I went to that treatment. There was a lovely, what I now call and what we call a moment of clarity, where I, for the first time in my fucking life, at 27 years old, realised, while looking at a suitably picturesque blue, crisp winter sky, the branch of a tree, scarring it, bare, stripped bare, looked up at that sky and thought, I suppose I don't have to drink and take drugs every day. And that was the first time that I'd ever thought it. And it sort of made me feel a bit odd and that. And then I went and got fucked up to get the thought out of my head. But a couple of days after that, I went into treatment. Like a bruised eggshell man, all brittle and scared all the time, into that treatment place, all untrustworthy of what was going on. And I went in there all reckless and wild, and I remember a mate of mine called up and asked to speak to me. Oh, can I talk to Russell, he said. Russell, they're looking through the register. Yeah, Russell, he's like a wild thing, a duke of lizarddom, a reptile man, a whirling, swirling dervish of chaos. She looked through the register. We've got a gentleman with a bicycle. That's what I'd become after but 1 week. A gentleman with a bicycle, just meekly wheeling it along paths. I didn't dare get on. Who knows what would happen? Slowly, got to step one. Accepted, this isn't working. This is fucked up. It made me realise, through the kind of things I've been doing, the way that my life was going, that this was not a way that I could continue to live long term. Even death would have been a relief rather than some half-life, drab dialysis machine of existence, tea and sympathy at my mother's, kept alive with sympathetic looks, rather the grave than that, So I got clean, slowly, one day at a time, got out of that rehab place, was still this is one thing that was really hard, that's what I was going to say actually, 12 days in, I had to go to a sober party, a sober New Year's Eve party. It was not good. I didn't like it there. I did not have a good time there. I had to go back to London to pick up a suit, and the pockets were all full of charred foils and mementos and stuff. Oh, maybe a little bit, but no. And then like sort of into this fucking party. And afterwards, in one of my, I've given, to moments of sort of poetic yearning and self-aggrandizement, and we all, like, and I said to this girl who was in sobriety, I goes, this isn't for me, like, I'm not going to be one of them success stories. It's not going to be, oh, and then Russell got clean and he sorted his life out and he turned it all around. I'm going to die. I'm going to die like all the best ones die, like Hendrix, like Morrison, like Rimbaud. That's Rimbaud French, not... But that was, getting on for 7 years ago, and one day at a time, I ain't had a drink or touched a drug since then. I've put aside that identity, if not some of the attire, of that particular person, I've moved on happily from that. And now, I got to, see, when I, this program, I didn't commit to it for a lot, I think I'd sort of trundled through this for years without committing to it, not wanting, I've always defined myself as being outside of a group, so it's really hard for me to come into a place and be a part of something and accept I'm just like everyone else in this room, that I ain't special or different in here, that what we talk about in here, everyone's going to identify on some level. We've all been through similar experiences. We've all come here on a fucking Friday, that's big, isn't it, to come here Friday night. Like, why would, only necessity would bring us here. Led by a chain of necessity, to this. And, I'm fucking, grateful. A lot of things that are integral to this program were antithetical to my way of life. Acceptance, I was told very young, don't accept nothing. My dad said this. Don't accept nothing. The world is trying to destroy you. The world wants to destroy your life. Trust no one. Fight against everything. Fight everyone. Don't trust anybody, because then life might let you through. That's the opposite of acceptance, isn't it? I laboured under that idea for ages. It's terrible consequences for it. Acceptance is the key, it's all written down. And it's like... change things for me. The principle that the template of this program fits perfectly onto my octagonal, fucked up, mishmash character. Perfect. If I listen to people in here, if I stay in touch with my sponsor, if I pray, Jesus. Those things work for me. They keep me together one day at a time. It works for me. Something like St. Francis' prayer, where there is darkness, let me bring light. Let me seek to understand rather than to be understood. I sometimes think, I behave opposite to that if I'm not fucking careful. Where there is light, I will bring darkness. Love me, give me attention. Like the anti-Assisi, I need it. That's another thing. It's like, I need this kind of program. I need someone on 24-hour call for every fucking decision I make. But there's no telling what kind of half-assed choices I'll make, Every time I'm thinking, oh, is that a fair thing to do? Should I be saying that to that person? Oh, yeah. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me now? The answer is always no. It's a good one, that. It has given me tools to make my life manageable. And, looking at the promises, I've got them in my life now. I live one day at a time. I live a life, well, beyond my wildest dreams. I had some pretty wild dreams. But, just, it's good. It's good. I'm having a good time. I sometimes think, and this is, I think, good. It was good for me in the early days, at least, some flicker of altruism, that if it were for no reason other than my mum is proud of me, that poor fucking woman, what she went through, turning up at police, from schools to police stations, the terrible phone calls that woman had to take. Now, she's proud of me. She's happy. She loves me. She can't, if you mention me to my mum, she will cry. She'll just cry. Oh, Russell, I love him. He's a good boy. She'll go to her grave thinking I'm an angel, that woman. She loves me, she's proud of me, I'm good to her, I give her love now. And every time now I fuck up, a clock is set. That's what step 4 and 5 have given me, and 6 and 7. That sort of, I can't treat people bad no more. I can and I do. But when I do, Like that, the button goes then at that point. Like I was like, oh no, shit, I was rude to that person. Oh God, what am I going to do? And then sometimes when I apologise, they don't even know that the thing happened. I'm sorry for, that was very insulting. God, I must have ruined your day, did I? Who are you? No, sorry. It's given me like sort of, I can now, and I recognise things. I live my life by this programme, and when I don't, I'm punished. If I don't, occasionally I think like that maybe I'll test this programme by not coming to meetings for a little bit. But it's like I think I can do a week without, something will happen. If I don't come here for a week, I'll do a thing, I'll make a bad decision, I'll fuck someone's life up for them. I'll fuck mine up, I'll make bad choices, Still stuff happens. Life continues to be life. The world continues to be the world. Bureaucracy ain't going to stop. That's all out there. Oppression, madness, all of that. But like me, at least I'm not contributing as much. I've been neutered a little bit. And I'm able to... Not literally, Jesus. No, I have actually a bit. I'm like, that's another thing, another story. But I'm much safer in that fucking environment as well. Thank God. Exhausting. Madness of all of that. Yeah, putting that behind me one day at a time as well. This is what I think, if you're new here, is give it a chance, Give it a chance, because I didn't think it was for me. And it is. I'm just, 10 minutes, eh? Right, okay, I could probably do a song. Okay, so 10 minutes. Okay, let me think of some things that are achingly pertinent to it. At the moment, sort of, what's going on? I've got a good job now, right? I'm pretty nice to everyone. I still get sort of, the things I get caught up in now are generally less likely to cause a cataclysm and less likely to end me up in a cell somewhere and end in heartbreak. For example, I didn't give my cat enough attention and it started to go to another person's house and I sort of lost the cat for a while. But through yogurt and diligence and a daily programme, I was able to get the cat to come back to me, These problems have less social implications than the way I was scattering myself across every metropolis I encountered. Nowadays I'm living a kind of... I feel right that through this programme that I'm living in alignment with something higher, that I'm trying to treat people with grace. I'm trying to recognise in the people that I meet, even people outside of these rooms, that within them all there is divinity and beauty, and to treat people like the higher part of themselves, and to acknowledge that really all of us are flawed and have difficulties and problems, but I recognise that we are one. This is why I think this fellowship works. Joseph Campbell, he's an academic, he's a mythologist and that, he said this, right? And this is sort of a bit off the big book, but it's all right. I think it works, right? He goes, he said, given man's tendency towards self-preservation, it is truly miraculous that we are prepared to throw ourselves through love so wholeheartedly into the mystery of another. And this is evidence that on some level we acknowledge we are all one. And that is why this fellowship works. That's why there's some bloke in London who any time, day or night, if I call, he'll pick up his fucking phone and thank me at the end of it for filling his head with some problem about a cat that temporarily would not come back. Because on some level, he knows that my problems, there is problem, and there's someone for all of us in that way. This fellowship is for all of us, no matter how diverse you think you are, or unique you think you are, or how far down the road you go, or you think you've gone, or how hopeless it seems to you, and how pointless, and how much you miss it, the yearning, the craving, the longing. There ain't nothing else, there ain't nothing else. This will work for you, and it will give you a better life. It's given me a better life. My mum's happy now, the cat's come back, I'm treating people beautifully. And Jesus Christ, I've found some measure of humility, and from a place it's hard for me even to identify it, but I know it's out there for me still out there for me if I were to yield to some moment of self-destruction, some moment of want and hatred still lurks within me, the propensity for that. I was in Louisiana State Penitentiary recently for private reasons. And I spoke at a meeting there, And like, you know, sort of, and what the program is, these men ain't getting out. They're dying in there. And it's still, they're finding hope and fellowship and love and treating each other with grace. And like people, that their stories, man, fucking hell, when I hear their stories, I feel like embarrassed to make my step 4 seem like a document dedicated to trivia, you know. But like them, it saved them. Them like beautiful, lovely men, poor sods, poor soldiers, poor murdering fucking lunatics, never getting out again. Lovely human beings like you or me, just the same as us. Few different choices, few different roads, few, you know. Yeah. In fact, Louisiana as well, it's quite draconian there. In fact, I found out that if I lived there, I would have been in that nick. Like just through like the free strikes type situation, which seems a little bit unfair. Acknowledge what the strike is. Oh, I mean, it's not into that. But like some of them men were all right. They were all right. So me today, I swear to you, like, I don't think you'd recognise me, and I don't think you'd want to. I don't think you'd want me, you know, around then. I was, it's near, like, for me, it'll be 7 years in December. It took me a long while to get. I worked this programme at my own pace. My sponsor, he never rushed me. When I got around to step 4, I'd done it, like, I'd done step 4 and 5 in 3 days. I just wrote until my fucking hand hurt, and let me tell you, this hand's had some use. And, like, you know, but I just wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I got that stuff out of me. And, it, like, and everyone told me they would change me, like, doing step 4. And I didn't, like, I thought, how will it? How can it chip through the edifice of my uniqueness? But it did. I'm better. I feel a lot better. I'm aware of my defects. I'm treating people better. Oh, that was intolerant. Oh, that was self-centered. That was impatient, prideful, arrogant. They're flashing up, you know, 24 hours a day. They're all there, constantly fairy lights of my defects ringing out around me. But like, I'm aware of it now, and I'm striving to be better. And I'm living a life where I treat people with love. I treat myself with love. I treat my mum with love. I respect this fellowship and what it's done for me. And if you are the newcomer, and therefore the most important person in this room, and what a room, then I would say to you, give it a chance. Please do give it a chance. Keep coming back no matter how unique or different you think you are. This is a broad church and will accommodate you, and it will help you and could save your life. Thank you very much. Cheers.